Okay, good morning, guys. I'm doing the first steps of setting up the chart for Monday. So I'm just going through the outline of the profile. So the first thing I want to say, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching, and it's Sunday morning. The first thing I want to say is that you have a very wide window here from low to high, right? And so that's the first thing to be aware of. So what I've marked off on this chart is Friday's point of control, which will be important, right? Friday's point of control. And then if you look at it, I have value area high and value area low. So the first thing I'm going to note is between 24,416 and 25,004, that is 600 points, right? That can be pretty difficult trading in this area, right? So I'm going to note that in my notes, right? So what am I going to rely more heavily on in that area? I'm going to rely on where the 100 and the 200 are, where VWAP is, and more of the structure than relying on price in here. So within this structure, there's two anomalies that are key, so I'm going to mark them off. It's this anomaly right here, okay, and this anomaly right here. And then you'll notice behind them that there's a low volume node, but the low volume node really doesn't appear here on the profile, so I'm not going to call that. That's a TPO low volume node. There is a true low volume node right here, right in this area, so I'm going to mark that off. It's in fair value, so I'm going to mark it off in purple. Okay, so that I know that it's in fair value, but there's a low volume node there between 24,404 and 24,405 that needs to be filled in. So I'm just going to mark these off in wide swaths. It's almost impossible to set up a chart that's going to be pinpoint accurate with 1,000 point wide rotation, right? So I'm going to rely heavily on my intraday charts to help me set this up, right? And then this is also inside a low volume node, this whole area up here if you look how this works, it's like 25,100 all the way up to 25,300, this 200 point range, right? And this anomaly above it's all a low volume. It's all a low volume node up there, and if you'll notice, there's another low volume node right in here. Here, I'll color it off. So like between here and value area high, there's another low volume node there. And this is what I'm trying to look at when I'm looking at these charts. What I am trying to see is how the market will travel when it's in this area. So if I can imagine, right, what I want to see if we recover is, first of all, the first clue for me, as opposed to looking at these as support and resistance zones, is how would this market move? So in order to re-auction even a 382 retrace, right? So if I take the price retracement tool and I go low to high, and then you'd have to add whatever, we added on another 200 afterwards, but for the day session, this is the 382, this is the 50, and this is the 618 retracement, right? So I'll leave that on the chart so that I know per se where it is, but I'm really going to rely heavily on structure from the hourly, right? So that's about as much as I'd want to pin on this chart, right? So if I come over here and let's see, yes, there we go. And on this one, show price labels, yes, okay. File, save all. So that's the first step. Next, I want to know what's below 24,374, right? So, and then this will get up. So what I'll do from this is I'll go from here to the hourly chart, right? And then I'll merge the two together and I'll work my way through it, right? So I'm not just relying on one particular chart to know where everything is at, right? I'm going to rely on multiple charts, multiple ideas. So the first thing I know is through this 25014 to 24416, that's the first thing I'm going to write down, is that this will be more difficult trading area until I get some definition within here. I'm going to have to probably rely on the hourly because it's such a wide area, and this is where I feel like profile probably falls apart a little bit. But the next thing I want to do is I want to go back and look at what's underneath 24,374. So I'm going to go look so I can know what I can rely on or what I can lean on. And I don't even know if I have enough days loaded on this, and I don't. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back, chart settings, and I'm going to go to data limiting. Oh, too much. Let's do 300 days. Let it load. It'll take a second. I'm going to pause it while this loads. Okay, we've now loaded, and I can start going back to look at what's underneath 24,374. Okay, so here's the first thing I see. Prior day's low. And I'll merge this with a 1 hour. Okay, this is the end again. There's unfair pricing underneath, and there's single prints down here. So I'm going to highlight this as a single print area, plus a little bit below to get the prior day's low. I know I generally, I lose that 24,238, recover it. I know I have a potential trap, right? So now I'm going to go back a little bit further. And I'm going to mark each of these off. Unless I forget, I also need to mark off. So there would be so much to mark off in this, right? So the other thing I want to mark off is the anomalies. So this is an important area. And that's a prior day settle price. Again, prior day's low. And you'll notice you're getting all of these days with excess. Uh-oh, what did I do? It reloaded for no reason. We'll give it a second. Here, I'll pause it again so y'all don't have to wait for it. Okay, again, color purple. Color purple. Color purple. Very important naked volume point of control right here. Prior day's low. And again, very low volume at the bottom down there. I don't see a pronounced low volume node there, so I'm just going to leave it. That gets us down to 23. So remember, we dropped quite a bit of ways, right? So make sure you save your work. This is a retail, that's a Dalton's Gap fill there too. This is also a retail fill right here. Again, you'd have to take copious notes to get this, and there's guys out there like Smashalita that already do that. But so I'll show you what you're looking for if you want, but this is how I do the charting so I can know, and I'll adjust it against the hourly. Prior day's low. You'll notice there's no excess on that low from September 2nd. There's no excess at the low. So, the market would argue that you may want to come all the way back and put excess either on the 3rd or the 2nd, right? So, and then the naked volume points of control will get marked off in here. I do both the TPO and the volume point of control, so it's like this. And those are inside prior fair value days, right? So just so you know, I adjusted a little bit based on what I'm seeing in the market, right? So I'm going back and picking up those like these right down here. Okay, and that's where I'm going to leave it right now because I believe we're trading at 24, and then I've got another 1,000 points down now. 24,404 to 23,132. So down another 1,000 points, and then if we need it, I'll add it. I'll add it on Monday if we need it. But that's how I would look at the profile. And just go, okay, these are the important areas I marked off where I think there's potential single prints going all the way back. And, I just want to reiterate while I'm doing this, I think Monday is going to be a really tough day. Specifically, I wouldn't trade till after 10:30. I think it'll be easier after 10:30 in the morning. That's probably the plan I'm going to follow realistically. And if you want to go back and get more detailed looks into what's going back here to the left, right? You can see that. And again, I would suggest you go back and look at Specialita stuff. If you want detailed, there's an anomaly right here. You probably should mark off. There's little things that I'll miss along the way, like this should be an anomaly here that I'll need to go back in and add. Right, this is all stuff I just used to do. See if there's anything I missed down here. This is probably would be considered single prints all the way through here. That'd be a way for me to get to default that. Let's see if there's anything else I missed on here. And while it may look all close here, like here, this needs to be highlighted. Something I missed within that structure. Probably this. So that's probably what I'll go with for now. And then I've already picked what I want on the upside, right? So and that's what I'm going to go with. That's quite the mess all the way down, and I'll post that out. So the way I'll break this down is I'll post the top levels, and then I'll post some of the lower levels, and we'll just kind of go from there. Okay, so Anyways, I just want to show this is the first part. Then I'll go through and do the hourly if anyone wants to watch it. So we'll go from there.